Welcome back to Takeout. Question, do President Trump's lagging poll numbers give Democrats on the ballot a boost tonight? Well, we're going to find out. Some CBS News polling finds the majority of the country disapproves of the president's handling of immigration, the economy, and inflation. Look at those numbers. Not good news for the president or the White House. I want to bring in our political panel. CBS News political contributor, Republican strategist Terry Sullivan, and former spokesperson to Vice President Joe Biden, Kendra, Barkoff, Lamy. It's great to have you both here. What are you looking for tonight, Terry, that is either on the upswing for Republicans or problematic and potentially worrisome?
Look, I think all elections are local and about those candidates in those elections. So I'm not a big fan, and I never have been, what side I'm on it.
Of overreading other national things.
I mean, look, the last time that Democrats won both, or either party won both New Jersey and Virginia, and then went on to sweep the House in the midterms, because everyone's talking about what a big, right, was 2005. So 20 years ago. So it's not like a great predictor of, And so look, they're both Democrat states. I think that
sounds like you expect Mikey Sherrill to win in New Jersey.
I think she's going to eke it out
narrowly, and then Abigail Spanberger somewhat more comfortably in Virginia.
Correct. I think the Attorney General's race could be interesting there, as we've talked about before.
Don Scott, the Speaker of the House of Delegates, just said that Jay Jones is going to win that race on the show. That's bold. That struck me as kind of out there.
Yeah, look, it's a Democrat state, and there's a government shutdown. Neither of those things favor Republicans.
Kendra?
Yeah, I think I actually agree with him that I do think you have to look at what comes back tonight, because I want to see the exit numbers. I want to see how Latinos vote. I want to see how suburban housewives votes. I think it'll be interesting to see, especially in Virginia, how Northern Virginians vote. A lot of federal government workers, obviously, we know, are shut down and have a lot of time on their hands, so they all should be voting in theory. But even in New York City, you're seeing people go to the polls in numbers I think that we haven't seen since 2001 for an election that I think is going to be really interesting to see kind of what happens.
To that point, Kendra, there is this conversation in Democratic circles that Abigail Spanberger, Mikey Sherrill, strong biographies, but running cautious centrist Democratic campaigns and messaging, may underperform. And progressives say, look at Zohran Mamdani. He's going to overperform. He's progressive. He's youthful. He's got a maybe out there kind of agenda. And Democrats should look at that for their future, not the more cautious biography-driven campaigns of Spanberger and Sherrill. How do you evaluate that?
We'll see what happens, right? We'll see what the voters say.
But how do you evaluate
But
that?
Here's what I will say. He has figured out how to use social media in a way that Democrats haven't for a really long time. You're seeing it also with Gavin Newsom. I think those two, and you'll see what happens with how the voters vote on the props out there. But I do think that he has figured out how to reach voters. He's charismatic. He talks in a way that people can understand. And he's not using these old school tactics, which clearly is working, as evidenced by people going to vote.
Terry?
Yes, but it really is. The New York mayor's race is like a bad joke setup. I mean, a disgraced politician who had to resign before being impeached.
Eric Adams, the incumbent mayor.
No, the other one. The governor who had to resign before being impeached. Eric Adams didn't even resign.
Right.
So we're talking about Cuomo.
Yeah.
Cuomo. So a disgraced politician, a socialist, and a guy with a beret walk into a bar. I mean, come on. This is like, it's a joke. It's just which one's the least awful. And that's, I think President Trump was right on that. It's like, it's a bad Democrat or a socialist.
Let me run for you some very quick exit poll data we have from New York City on what's on the minds of voters there. It's 56%, if you bring it up, there we go, beautiful control room. Cost of living, that has to favor Zohran Mamdani. 22% crime, that would be more in the Andrew Cuomo lane or the Curtis Lewa lane. 10% immigration. Kendra, you look at those numbers, what does that tell you? Because you were just saying, I want to see some data.
Well, it's telling me that grocery prices are still not down. It is telling me that while they claim energy prices are down, people are still paying exorbitant amounts when they go to buy their food. And that's beef prices are still so far up. And that is hurting consumers. Also, the federal government is still shut down, which I keep repeating over and over and over again. That is not helping either.
Terry Sullivan, in New York City, the average price of a studio apartment, $3,600 a month.
Yeah, so much more expensive than D.C. But look, if your last experience to the DMV was a good one, and you have to do that once every 4 years, then you should have the government running your grocery stores, because that is going to bring the cost of groceries down.
We will see if that agenda item for Mayor Zohran Mamdani, if he is elected, comes to pass. Terry Sullivan, Kendra, Barkoff, Lamy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.